Hey everybody, welcome into this Adobe Illustrator tutorial brought to you, as always, by tutvid.com. Today we're going to cover it's a pretty big, a pretty deep feature in Adobe Illustrator. In fact, so deep that we're not even going to get to all of it in this video because it would just become so long and so boring and so monotonous that I wouldn't blame you for hitting the back button and going and checking out a different video. It's called Recolor Artwork. Let's check it out. So Recolor Artwork allows you in Adobe Illustrator to take something like this very multi-shaped, multi-colored piece of artwork and very quickly change every single color in it. And you really just got to see it to believe it. Or maybe some of you have tried it and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I have here is I got well, I got all my background junk back here, but we can ignore that. I have all of these colors set right in this layer, and we're going to change those colors. The colors down here for the word recolor, that's its own layer. We're not going to mess around with that. So here's basically how this works. All of these colored squares, all the colored diamonds really, are all grouped up in one layer group here. So you can see all I have to do is click on it and it's going to select everything. So we just want to select the artwork which we want to recolor. And this is just tons and tons of these little squares. And not only are they different colors, but each one has a little gradient on it. So it's going to be particularly tricky. Select the piece of artwork that you want to recolor or the grouped piece of artwork you wish to recolor and hit the Recolor Artwork icon right up here. And what's going to launch is the Recolor dialog box, and it's kind of a complicated looking dialog box, if I do say so myself. Now, just a couple things. You can see here we have what are called current colors, and these are all the colors, as you may well have deciphered at this moment, are the colors that are currently in the artwork. So for the dark red to not quite so dark red gradient, you can see we have a dark red gradient and then a not so dark red gradient. So just to give you a quick example, you can see here we have the new option. These are the colors which they're being switched to. So I could like double click on this dark red and I could make it, you know, a dark green, or maybe not so dark green, maybe a bright green. Hit OK, and you can see that dark red gradient, or just the dark red color in that gradient, switches to that light green in every one of those shapes that has that. And I can do the same thing here with the red. I can make this like a super bright blue, or maybe even lighter blue than that. So we can go with a super light blue. You can see now our gradient on the bottom of this, in every single shape, in every single gradient, goes bright green to that very light sky blue. It looks pretty awful. The way you can undo this, because you can't really Command or Control Z in this dialog box, you can hit the little eyedropper here. That's going to restore us to the colored artwork as it was when we entered the Recolor Artwork dialog box. Another really cool thing that you can do here is you can adjust the hue and saturation of any individual color, sure, but if you hit this little flyout menu, not only can you choose to adjust RGB, CMYK, Web RGB, or lab colors, and tint in some cases, but you have this global adjust option. That's what I want to focus on. And this allows you to just drop or pump the overall saturation, brightness, temperature, or even luminosity of the whole collective conglomerate piece of artwork. And again, if you don't like it, you think it looks terrible, which I do, hit the little eyedropper. It's going to restore us back to the way things were just a moment ago. Now, another thing we can do here is, instead of assigning color, we're here in the Assign tab, we can choose the Edit tab, which is going to bring up this sort of color wheel. We can choose different ways to look at the color wheel, whether or not we want the segmented color wheel or even just color bars. So these are all the colors that are in our artwork currently. We've got our red to dark red, our kind of orange to, or our dark orange to lighter orange, yellow to a darker yellow, teal, blue, and pink. So we have all of these different colors, and we can choose to adjust any one of these individual colors based on whatever way we want to edit them. Let's say HSB down here, so I can select the yellow. And I can hit the flyout menu and choose RGB, and I'm going to get my RGB sliders. I can go to HSB, whatever I want to do. I don't really like to work in this mode. I'm usually over here on my regular color wheel. Now, one of the things that is interesting is you can select any one of these color nodes, and like this dark blue is probably one of the dark blues in my blue gradient there. So if I just change this to like a peachy color, we can see that sure enough, that lighter blue color across all those blue squares gets changed to that peachy color. I'm going to hit my eyedropper to restore order here. We can also select this little chain link icon. If we do that, it's going to lock all the colors together. So if I grab and rotate one, it's going to rotate them all. And you can see we get this wholesale color change, and it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? You can go through and just see, like, you know, maybe I have the relationship between all the colors is right, but the colors themselves weren't exactly right. And that's actually kind of cool. You know, kind of a teal to purple to pink to yellowish orange to sort of greenish, you know, seafoam green up at the top. That looks kind of neat. Again, I'm just going to hit the eyedropper tool to restore order once more. And note that we also have this icon here, which is going to allow us to apply sort of a preset set of color swatches to our artwork. So I can go to like art history and say Baroque, and you're going to see that it takes, not only does our color wheel look funky, by the way, I should mention, because we're being limited to this palette of colors, but you can see it automatically is going to map them to the existing artwork that you have out there on your screen. And this actually doesn't look too bad. I mean, in the right application, this would be pretty cool. And here you can see that we have obviously a limited color wheel because, again, the color wheel is not simply limited to our full range color gamut of all those beautiful colors, but we're locked in to this particular Baroque color palette, which we've chosen. You can see reds are being changed. All of these different colors are being changed to these colors over in the new thumbnail here to the right-hand side of this, this color bar area of the dialog box. Now, before we head and really talk about how to create your own custom sets of colors, we can just straight up choose one of the color groups that are over here off to the right, right off the bat, like the grays. And if we do that, you can see that, well, we're just getting a series of dark gray all the way up to solid white, and those are being applied. And that actually does look pretty cool. And one of the things that you can do that I think is particularly cool when you're working with just a set of grays like this is we can come over here to Edit, and you can see all of our nodes are clustered way into the center here. If we have our link turned on, so we don't want to uncheck it, see now the link is off, we want the link to be on, we can select here and just start rotating around, and the bulk of our grays will be transformed to maybe like a more bluish color. And you can see we get this really cool, almost monochromatic effect. We can go with more of like an orange and red, or, you know, greenish yellow, and bluish with a little bit of like teal tips in there. So you can do a lot of really, really cool things beginning with this gray color base. You can come into Edit and just further edit and tweak and very quickly get really, really great color for your artwork. I'm going to hit the eyedropper once more. Before we head out of here, I'm going to go back to the Assign panel here, and I'm going to choose this Brights color group. Now, when I do this, the Brights color group only has, what, 6 or 7 colors here. So what it's doing, as you can see here, is it's taking the current colors and it's kind of lumping them. So it's saying, look, hey, you red to dark red and pink to dark pink, you're going to become this red. But if I hit this little drop-down menu, we're doing what's called scaling the tints. So Illustrator is going to sort of tint, which basically means it's going to brighten some of those reds to kind of help mesh them to the lighter colors in the current colors dialog here. So we can kind of still maintain some semblance of the gradients that we had before, but it's all built on this base red color, which is in our Brights color group. Now, if we don't want it to do that and we just want it all to become that solid red, we can hit this exact option. And you can see, well, nothing happens until I just click out here to make that dialog box go away. And what happened was everything changed. Everything exact matched. You see that? See how all these now? See the dark yellow and, or I'm sorry, dark orange and orange color are just becoming the solid orange. Yellow and dark yellow are becoming just yellow. The seafoam greens are becoming green, blues, and then the darker blues are becoming purple. The reason that happened is because here, when I went from scale tints, you see how everything now is going to scale that tint? I have this little option, apply to all, checked on. So when that's checked on, if I say, hey, look, exact this, and I commit that change, everything is going to just exactly match. There's going to be no scaling of tint in an attempt to emulate that gradient. So if I come down here to orange and I say, look, scale tints, I'm not going to check on apply to all, and I commit that. Well, the reason that it committed to everything is because I need to tick off apply to all first, and then I can go exact, and I can commit the change, and you can see now just the orange is applied. So if I come in here, say scale to tints, and apply it, now the orange is the only thing affected. If I come into here, tick on apply to all, and go exact, now everything is back to a solid color. So you can go in, you can play around. I think I'm going to set everything back to scale tints. I kind of like the way that looks. It's not quite saturated enough, so we could go down here to global adjust and say, look, pump that saturation, maybe make it a little bit darker. We can adjust the temperature a little bit, man, not too much really. And you can just go in and really play around with stuff as you see fit. Oh, one quick little tip, too, about working over here in the grays color group. You can use this randomize the saturation and brightness. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of like just allow Adobe Illustrator to randomly choose some colors. And then you can use this option here, randomly change color order. You're going to see it's going to take the colors you have in this stack and just flip them around and give you all kinds of, just different effects and cool color options. A lot of the stuff is automated stuff when it comes to the automatic. Well, yeah, of course, automated when it comes to the automatic features. But you're just kind of allowing Adobe Illustrator to make those color choices for you. And when you don't want that to be the case, you always can come into the Edit tab here and say, look, I don't really want the blues. This really needs to be much more heavily favoring red or yellow or whatever the project you're working on dictates. But you have all of those options between assigning, between color groups, and everything that you're working on here in the Recolor Artwork dialog box. All right, let's talk about creating our own color group and how we can change and apply this. Well, first and foremost, if we just go back to our original color artwork here, we can take this entire string of colors and save it as a color group. See here in our swatches panel, I'm going to hit OK. Actually, I'm just going to cancel to get out of that. Let's not make any change at all. Over here in my swatches dialog box, I have my just default grays and these bright colors as color groups. I have no other color groups, okay? Just keep that in mind. Let's come back in here to Recolor Artwork. We have this artwork that Adobe Illustrator is saying, look, these are all 14 of the colors that are being used to color this selected piece of artwork. I can give this a name. I'm going to call this Originals. If I can spell, let's try that again. Originals. And I'm going to hit this little folder icon, which is the new color group creator. So we're creating a new color group there. If I hit OK, you can see, hey, look at that. A new color group has appeared in my swatches panel. So there's a few things we can do here. We can go back into our Recolor Artwork and we can go to like Edit. We can lock all these together and we can swing this bad boy around and say like, hey, here's the new set of colors that we want. Or I can change, well, you know, I'm going to change things a little bit more drastically. Let's go with like, we'll begin with a pink, go orange, yellow, green, blue, something like that. And you can create a brand new color swatch. You can see all these colors are a little bit different than the ones that we began with. So you can quickly create multiple color groups that you can use throughout your project. I'm going to cancel that out because this is kind of an interesting way to apply color as well. So we can select this color group here in the swatches panel. We can go to our color guide panel here in color guide under window color guide. And this is going to show you the color harmonies and the way all the colors are working one with another. So we can select like the base color here as the red. Well, we probably don't want to select our artwork when we're doing this. You can just select your color group down here in your swatches panel, and we can select that red, and that's our base color. And we can change the base color actually. So we can say like, hey, you know what? Instead of red, let's make our base color this teal. And you can see the entire color group is going to update and change, but it actually doesn't change because we can see we still have our original color group. So we want to take this string of colors and save it. So we can do that by hitting this little icon here. So we can hit that, and you can see it's going to save a second color group there to our swatches panel. So now we have a second color group we can play with. Now check this out. Let's select our group of artwork, and let's say we want to apply this string of colors to the artwork. All we need to do is double click on the folder. And what's going to happen is it's going to open the Recolor Artwork dialog box, and you can see it has mapped that color to our artwork in just the way it needs to be mapped. So that's pretty cool. And then we can come over here to Edit, or we could, maybe go to just like Global Adjust and say, you know what, I really want to boost the saturation a bit. You can see it's just boosting the saturation of those little handles there. So let's go back to Assign. Let's boost the saturation. Yeah, we'll boost the saturation a little bit. Maybe take the brightness up just a touch. I don't think we really want to tweak the temperature too much. Maybe drop the temperature a little bit. And we could have our perfect little set of colors here for our artwork. We could save this as a color group or whatever we wanted to do. I'm just going to hit OK in this case. And it's going to say, hey, look, would you like to save the changes to swatch group color 1 before closing? If I want to, I can say yes. It's going to save it. I'm going to just say no in this case. And we have our totally recolored artwork here in Illustrator. Oh, you know what? And I would be remiss if I let you go without showing you one last thing here about Recolor Artwork. So in your color themes, you can have a series of themes you've downloaded from like Adobe Cooler or something like that. And let's say we've downloaded, I'll just take this one here I have on top, Sandy, Stone, Beach, Ocean, Diver. Let's say we have that color scheme and we want to apply that color scheme of just 5 colors to this much more complex piece of artwork. Can we do that? Well, yes, we can. All we need to do is select these color swatches in the Color Themes panel. Select the first one, hold down Shift, select the one on the end. From the flyout menu here, we can choose Add to the Swatches panel. When we have them selected in the Swatches panel, we can hit New Color Group. There's a color group dialog or a new dialog box showing up. And I'm just going to name this like Sandy or something. You can see all the colors get dropped into a new color group. Now we would do the same exact thing. We select our artwork, double click on this color group, and it's going to recolor the artwork based upon this. And you can see because it's only 5 colors, it's going to group up the colors as best it can and sort of recolor them that way. Now, let's just say we wanted the blue to be attacking all the oranges. Well, all you really need to do is click on this and drag it up and drop it on that top color you want to replace, and those two colors will simply swap order or swap position here in our assignment bin here. And if I don't want the sort of dark grayish blues to attack those purples, maybe I want them to be on the blues, I can change that just like that. Maybe I want to move the darker or medium blues, to the ends, or maybe, you know what, I really need the dark blues on the ends. That's kind of more like it. And then I want these blues to be, where do I want these blues to be? Kind of want these blues to be maybe right in the center, something like that. You can go ahead and very quickly take an existing, maybe somewhat limited color scheme or color group and apply it to a more complex, these are tons and tons of gradients here in this group of artwork. And we're very quickly able to go in and tweak and adjust. And of course, you can come to edit and further adjust your actual color scheme if need be. I'm going to hit OK here. It's going to ask me if I want to save any changes. I'm going to say I don't want to save any of the changes there to that color group. So you can see very, very quickly we can go in and recolor pretty complex pieces of artwork using Recolor in Adobe Illustrator. Really something I encourage you to try out for, line art and illustrations and, logo designs and, multiple graphical kind of like corporate graphics packages where you have maybe 10 different things from a Twitter graphic to something that's going on Facebook to something that's a little icon for a UI design, or maybe you have 60 different UI icons that you're working on and you very quickly need to recolor them all and change the color scheme. Recolor Artwork is just the tool to do that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. That way you never miss another video in the future. For recoloring artwork in Adobe Illustrator and sliding color nodes around and working with color groups, and it's such a complicated, complex tool. It can be difficult to wrap your mind around the entire thing all the time, but certainly the more you use it, the more you're just going to understand, okay, I can do this, I can't do that, and here's really where it works for me. That's how I know I use it. I know where I use it and how I use it, and that's when, boom, I'm so fast with it. That's when I start straying into some of the stuff that I don't use very often, that it's kind of like, ooh, wait, how does that work again? But for all those features in Adobe Illustrator and recoloring artwork after recoloring artwork after recoloring artwork, that's it. Get it, got it, good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one.